Hello, welcome. This is a recording of an online class about Fiore's armored sword plays. I'm Master Lloyd Eldred from the SCA. My websites are baronlloyd.org and learnfiore.org, and there's my email address. This class was previously presented at Atlantean University, but it was not recorded at the time. So I'm going back and recording some of my old university classes so that other people can enjoy them. So, quick background on Fiore. It was published around 1409. It is the earliest known complete European combat system. Certainly, other manuals were published, but they were mostly focused on swords or some other single weapon. So, sections in Fiore's manual include wrestling, dagger, swords, armored combat, pikes, spears, and mounted combat. 4 copies are known to survive, with a copy held by the Getty Museum in California being the most complete. Each of the 4 copies is different. I will be using the Getty manuscript as my source for this manual. The page numbering that you'll see on the slides when I'm referring to the plates are each sheet of paper or vellum is numbered, unlike a modern book. This is a museum style numbering. And the front of each sheet is called recto, and the back of each sheet is called verso, abbreviated V. On these slides, the master is indicated with a gold or cornet gold cornet or crown, and a scholar is indicated by a gold garter. So my sources, obviously the Getty Museum is the source of the Getty manuscript. They have very high resolution reproductions of every page in the manual that you can download for free. I have downloaded them and cropped them for this presentation. The translations are by Colin Hatcher, which are available from his book, The Flower of Battle, depicted there, or can be accessed from the Wikton Hour webpage. So setting the stage for this section on swords and armor, why do people wear armor? Well, obviously they wear it because it works and it protects them. So what armor was Fiore dealing with in the late 1300s in order to write a book that gets published in 1409, so very late 1300s. So the armor of the period was plate over mail, gradually evolving toward more plate. For instance, shoulder lambs became common after 1360. And just from one of his plays, it appears that visor latches were not common at the time he was writing this. You can see a play there where he's encouraging you to lift your opponent's visor in order to stab him in the face. So if you've got an opponent that's wearing armor, how do you hurt them? Well, there are a couple ways. First, generate lots of energy, i.e. a hard blow to the head, frequently with a mace or a club. Or you can target less armored area, the joints or the back. You can move the armor. You can lift a visor. You can go under an aventail, or you can wrestle the person to the ground to reduce their effectiveness and make targeting easier. So Fiore's armored sword section is on the Getty, pages 32 verso to 35 recto. There are 5 new half-swording postas, 1 two-handed sword posta repeat, and 16 new plays, which are all at close or stretto measure. You could also use many of the dagger and stretto two-handed sword plays in this situation due to the measure. Although you're dealing with an opponent in armor, you're going to have to place your weapon a little more carefully than is depicted in those plays themselves. There's a lot of half sorting in this section. It also appears in other sections in the one-handed sword, 11th student, two-handed sword intro, and the dagger and baton sections have some grabbing of the weapon tip with the second hand. Not exactly half sorting, but a similar concept. So SCA combat application. Grappling plays are generally not legal in the SCA. Half sorting is generally not legal in rattan combat without a custom edge marking. Thrusts are not allowed in the new steel combat form. Most non-grappling plays in this section will work great in cut and thrust, and there is some application to heavy rapier. There are no explicit cuts in this section, although In some cases, you could deliver a cut rather than a thrust. All right, into the manual itself. Starting on page 32, Versa Plate A. We are 6 masters who are very knowledgeable in the art of armed fighting, and each one of us is an expert in this art. Handheld weapons do not worry us because we know how to defend against any cuts and thrusts that may come our way. So the first posta or position, I wouldn't call it a guard, because they're a little more mobile and transitory than a guard might, than the word guard might indicate, but guard is not far off, is posta breve la serpentina, or short serpent position. The text says, I am the short serpent guard, and I consider myself superior to the other guards. And when I thrust, those I strike will be well marked. He likes to use names that are meaningful to his audience, or that evoke and help you remember what the position is. So to me, the use of serpent invokes both that a natural strike from this position is a quick thrust, like a serpent's tongue licking out or striking. Also, this is the reverse of a guard we'll see later, and that has, so it has a double meaning. So the next guard, which is the one I was referring to, is posta de vera croce, or the true cross position. I choose to use the true cross guard against you, and your thrust will fail to strike me. I will make cover to your attack, as I will make my step, and my thrust will strike you without fail. Neither you or the other guards concern me, because I am so well versed in the art of armed fighting that my crossing cannot fail me. Step, cross, and strike, and this art will never fail you. So to me, the opposite, the true cross position invokes a religious reference, and it being the opposite of short serpent also makes sense with a religious subtext. Now, going back to the other side, posta de serpentina lo soprano, or high serpent position, is the same. It's a sword tip forward, but in a high position rather than a low position. The initial illustration, it looks like it's behind his head. You could do that. It doesn't seem natural to me, so I'm not depicting it in front of the head. Here's the text. I am the high serpent, and I am well positioned to give great underhand thrusts. Since I begin high but end low, I will throw a great thrust into you as I step. That is my skill, and I do it well. Your cuts do not concern me in the slightest, because when it is time to hand out great thrusts, you will get a large portion from me. And then there's a repeat of an earlier guard from the two-handed sword section called Porta de Ferro de la Mezzana, or Middle Iron Gate. My name is Middle Iron Gate, and whether you are armored or unarmored, I make strong thrusts. I step offline with my left foot, and I put a thrust into your face. I can also place my point and blade between your arms in such a way that I will put you into the middle bind, as depicted and identified earlier. And then he depicts the posta sagittaria, or archer's position. I am known as the archer's guard, and I throw great thrusts as I step offline. And if strikes or thrusts come against me, I make a strong cover, and then immediately I strike with my counter. This is my skill, and I never vary from it. And then finally, I think, is posta de croce bastarda, bastard cross position. I've also seen people, more modern translators, use mixed or hybrid instead of bastard, to be a little more polite. I am the mixed or hybrid cross guard, and I'm related to the true cross guard in that anything it can do, I can also do. I make strong covers, thrusts, or cuts, usually avoiding your strike by stepping offline, and my strikes are my greatest asset. So this is largely the same as the true cross as a reference, but it's rotated more, so that the sword, rather than being quite so much at the side, is a little more in the front. And that's why it's a mixed or a hybrid. It's between the true cross and the serpent position. So here are the plays. Plate one is the Remedy Master. And you can see the master on the left wearing the cornet. This cover is made from the true cross guard when I step diagonally offline. And so that you can see what can be done from this cover, my student will show the plays that follow it. And since they are experienced in Mortal Kombat, they will show these skills without presentation. So there's me doing this position with my son. I've gone from true cross. I've done a passing step, bringing my rear foot forward. And as I did that, I brought the sword up and across in order to make cover. We'll show you a video in a little bit. Here's the student, first student of that play. I'm the first student of the master who came before me, and I will make this thrust from his cover. You should also know that you can make this thrust from the true cross guard and from the bastard, mixed, or hybrid cross guard, whichever word you prefer. As the opponent makes his thrust, the master or his student who is waiting in one of these guards or positions keeps his body low and steps offline, crossing the opponent's sword with his point high into the opponent's face or chest, and with the hilt of his sword kept low, as shown here. So here's a quick video of us doing that play. I'm coming in high rather than low, but it would depend on the relative positions of where his sword was. On the right is a view of me doing this in an actual tournament in the Atlantean Cut and Thrust Championships finals. I did this play, and you can see I'm coming in much lower. The half sorting allows me to be very precise with my placement of the tip, and I'm putting the tip into my opponent's throat, while his sword is carefully and completely safe. From my point of view, it is blocked off to my right, and I'm safe from it while I stab him in the throat. Plate three, the second student. Here's the visor lifting play I showed earlier. If I see my thrust cannot penetrate his chest or his face due to his visor, I can lift his visor in order to thrust into his face. And if this does not satisfy me, I can apply other stronger plays. So I hope that's obvious how that works. Obviously not SCA legal to remove someone's armor. Plate four, the third student. When I closed with this opponent, his armor prevented me from striking him as shown in the previous play. So instead, I pushed strongly against his elbow to make him turn away. Let's see now if his armor is strong enough when he is attacked from behind. Plate five, the fourth student. When I saw that my sword was ineffective against you, I quickly applied this grappling technique. I believe, see, and feel that your armor will be useless to you when I put you in this strong bind, which is shown further in the next picture. And then plate six, he completes the grapple, twists his opponent over. And I have locked you in a lower bind or strong key. And from this position, you cannot escape regardless of how strong you are. I could hurt you or even kill you. I could stop to write a letter, and you would not even be able to see what I was doing. You have lost your sword and your helmet. You have been humiliated, and you will soon be hurting. Plate seven, the sixth student. This play flows from the first master who showed the true cross or the hybrid cross guard as follows. When the opponent makes a thrust at the student who is waiting in this guard, the student quickly steps offline to make cover, counters with a thrust to the opponent's face. Then the student advances his left foot behind the opponent's lead foot as shown in order to throw him to the ground using the point of his sword to hook around the opponent's neck. So here is a quick video of us doing that plate. I'm going to show it again. This is my son. I'm not actually going to throw him to the ground in my yard, but hopefully that's clear how that works. Plate eight, the seventh student. When I move from my guard to a close range cover and am unable to strike you with a cut, I strike you with a thrust. And if I cannot strike you with either, I strike you with the cross guard or with the pommel, depending on my preference. And when I choose to play at close range and my opponent believes I intend to use my sword, I switch to grappling when he gives me an advantage, or if not, I can strike him in the face with my cross guard, as I told you before, whichever I like. There's a version of us doing this play, our interpretation. Show it to you again. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making cover and then I'm jamming him up by rushing in, and I can then pivot around it in order to strike him with the guard and the pommel. Plate 9, the eighth student. As you saw, the student who preceded me struck his opponent in the face with the crossguard of his sword. Thereafter, he can quickly strike him in the face with his pommel, as you see depicted below. I'm not going to show you that again. I think you could get that from the video. Plate 10, the ninth student. Also, let me tell you that the student immediately before me who struck his opponent in the face with his pommel of his sword could have done what I do, that is, step with his right foot behind his opponent's left leg, then hook his opponent's neck with a sword handle in order to throw him to the ground, as I do. It's very similar to the version we did on the other side, where he went past and hooked the opponent's neck with his sword blade. Now he's going to do it with the pommel. Now, if you look closely at this figure, it's kind of where the swords are and which sword is on top is a little unclear, and it's unclear how they got tangled in this way. It looks like the student who is the figure on the right, his sword is perhaps closest to us, and the attacker's sword is in the middle of the arms. I don't think that's the way we did it with the video here. In a moment, hopefully we did video. Not sure. It's been a little while since I went through this class. So plate 11. This play also flows from the true cross guard and follows when a student is in that guard, and as opponent comes against him and suddenly attacks him, then the student should step offline and thrust his sword point into his face, as you see here. So in some ways, this is the counter to that jam up play we just did with the video, and that you step offline to get yourself free and free up your own sword. Plate 12, 11th student. Also, let me point out that if the student has moved to close range and finds himself unable to destroy his opponent with a sword, then he should use his sword to grapple as shown. That is, he should cast his sword to his opponent's neck, then step with his right foot behind the opponent's left foot and throw him to the ground on the right. So another sword bind and grappling throw across the leg. Very similar to the earlier ones we showed. And then plate 13, the 12th student. This student is unable to strike his opponent effectively, so he transitions to grappling as follows. He places his sword point to the inside of his opponent's right arm. Then the student slides his sword and his left arm under the opponent's right arm so as to throw him to the ground or lock him in a lower bind, known as the strong key. So here's our take on plate 13. Okay, I'm going to show that to you again. You may want to watch it at slow motion to pick up where the sword is going. I put the sword in the middle, and now I twist. Um, Now he could let go, but that's difficult, and I've already got him twisted, and he's going down if I apply any more energy to this, which I'm not going to because he is my son. All right, plate 14, the 13th student. This is a good strong grapple. As he makes his grip on the opponent's right arm, the student steps with his left foot behind the opponent's left foot and thrusts the point of his sword into his face. He can also throw him to the ground to the student's right. So here, the weak hand has been released from the student's sword in order to do this bind and reach through and grab the opponent's strong hand. So here's our take on this play. I'll show it again. So I make cover, I get clear, I bring my hand over, And in order to do this bind, his sword is now useless and mine is poised and ready to do whatever I would like to do with it. Plate 15, the Countermaster. This is the counter to the Remedy Master and all of his students. It is the case that every counter you use against a Remedy Master will also break the plays of all the Remedy Master students. And this is also true for the spear, poleaxe, sword, dagger, and grappling. That is for the entire art. Let me return to address the Remedy Master. When he is making his cover, the counter Remedy Master places his left hand behind his opponent's right elbow and gives him a powerful push, turning him in order to strike him from behind, as you see drawn next. So this is the student. This is the follow-up. I am a student of the counter remedy master who came before me, and I complete his play as follows. When I have turned my opponent, I quickly strike him from behind, either under his right arm or under his coif into the back of his head or into his buttocks, excuse my language, or into the back of his knee or any other place where he is protected. The main thing, or one of the main things that the half sorting allows you to do is be very precise in putting your sword into a gap in armor where he is more vulnerable. It also gives you leverage so you can pry open that gap and cause more damage. So here's our take on the play. So he has made cover, but I'm going to go past it and make him pay for it. So that completes this section. I'm going to give you a bibliography and then conclude. So these reference multiple copies of the actual text of the manual itself. The first one is a facsimile of the book with the original handwritten Italian, medieval Italian. The second one, the Colin Hatcher and Tracy Mello book, replaces the original Italian with typewritten, italics text in an English translation. So it seems like you're actually reading the manual, but in English. And then Freelance Academy Press has published two versions of the manuscript where they reproduce the manual in a facsimile form, and then on a facing page they have a typed version of the medieval Italian text and a typed version of the translation, as well as some context and some background articles. And they have versions for both the Getty manuscript and another version of the manuscript, the Florius manuscript. And then there are multiple interpretations of the manual where they show a plate and then show photographs and explanations of them doing the plays. We really like Bob Charette's Armsari. We used that a lot very early when we were getting started. Guy Windsor's has a series and then a more recent longsword specific book. Those are all excellent. For more Fiore, our website is learnfiore.org and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@learnfiore. You'll see this and other videos there. So thank you for joining me for this class on Fiore's armored sword technique. Please like and subscribe.